A friend had a new baby girl. Her coworker asked what's her name? I should put this in our tiffy reminds me of the time I made a dad joke using the newborn's name of a favorite coworker. Turns out she and her husband put a lot of thought into it and it really was meaningful to his hurt and didn't talk to me the rest of the time I worked there. I've never joked about names since. I got this after I said the name out loud. Meanie. My last name sounds like it should have an L in it but doesn't. Sometimes people say the L. My mom was at the bank and the girl called her Mrs. last name with an L. My mom said no L. The girl then called her Noelle after that and my mom felt too awkward to correct her. I'm always the person who doesn't get it. Crying face. Well shit. Groan. Maywani. I-T. Is how you spell it. Took me a minute. I-T it. Better than MN-op. Very carefully. A young camel curiously questions his father, Dad, why do we have a hump on our back? Nitpick the hump of a camel stores fat, not water. The joke is still funny. To store jokes to repost in a week or two. I heard almost the same one about a Muslim. Can't remember the exact questions. Why this robe? Why the sandals? Why the scarf? When we are living in Canada, a guy's wife gets caught for stealing a jar of canned at trial. For each peach you get a month in jail. Husband up in the back, Your Honor. She also stole a jar of beans. Flies away. AMA. I am Carol West and I survived a blood clot after having unplanned knee surgery. I live in Canada and now advocate for patients through international thrombosis research. Ask me anything. Thanks for sharing this. What were the symptoms you felt after surgery that made you realize it could be a blood clot? I am interested in participating in World Thrombosis Day. How do I get involved? My brother was just diagnosed with a PE a few days ago and I'm not sure the best way to support him. Do you have any advice? It seems like having a blood clot had a profound effect on the course of your life. What drove you to dedicate so much of your life to advocacy? Someone at my work just had knee surgery. What advice would you give to them to make sure what happened to you doesn't happen to them? Hi, I am Carol West from Canada and I am going to spend the next hour with you in conversation about the questions you have on blood clots. AMA. During the USSR regime, a communist governor is visiting one of the small towns in his district. I recently went to Russia and listened to a stand-up comedian making fun of Putin and communism for an hour. Was non-stop and the guy just really went for jokes. Weren't that great, but his execution was pretty solid. Why did the cows come back to the marijuana pot? Was calling the cattle back a simple farmer owning the means of production and prosperity? Off with his head. Comrade, if you had 2 apartments, wouldn't you be happy to donate one to the Communist Party? Have? Donate? That sounds like property, and property is theft. He went off course with his last reply. You would need 2 cows to reproduce anyway. So honestly it would be better in the long run if he didn't donate. Still laughed at the joke though. What do you call it when a hotel mattress is ruined from too much vacation sex? Spring break. English-speaking countries are the only countries that don't immediately congratulate foreigners learning their language. Nobody congratulates me when I go to Mexico and speak Spanish, they just want to know how I learned. Honestly, I've met a few people that were new to English or had learned English as a second language. And no, I don't congratulate them unless we're on the subject of languages because I don't want to come off as condescending. Say what you want about Americans, but they tend to be friendly and highly enthusiastic, and when I used to work with American tourists they never failed to compliment mine and other people's English. I've heard the French can be pretty snooty about it as well. Sounds like you've never tried to learn French. Or German. Dutch. Most West European languages, and probably North as well. I've been to several Spanish-speaking countries and no one congratulates me for speaking Spanish. 5 Jewish women go out for dinner. A Jewish boy runs into his home. Mom, I got a role in the school play. What wonderful news, Mose, I'm so proud of you. Who will you play? A Jewish master of the house. What? Go back and tell them you must get a speaking part. A priest and a rabbi are sitting at a park bench. Priest: hey, let's screw some kids. Rabbi: sure, out of what? How many Jewish mothers does it take to change a tea? Worry about it. I'll just sit here in the dark. Corollary: Gentiles meet for lunch. One asks, so how's business? The other replies, great. In The Walking Dead, for 10 seasons not one single nuclear power plant exploded. I think in Fear the Walking Dead they had a whole season about nuclear power plants and radioactive walkers. That seems like one of the more reasonable and realistic parts of the show. Nuclear power plants are designed to not do that. Failsafes are built into more modern designs that make it physically impossible. 10-year-old gasoline also still works just fine even though real gasoline goes bad in 3-6 months. And all the empty stretches of grass stayed conveniently mowed. I don't think nuclear power plants explode. Maybe one did and it just wasn't near where the story was happening. The zombie apocalypse had taken place before Rick woke up from the coma. Maybe they were shut down safely during the beginning phase of the apocalypse. I know, kinda pie in the sky theory. Millennials are better with technology than boomers or Gen Z. Technology for Gens is very intuitive and user-friendly. For earlier generations, this was not always the case, and you often had to have actual technical knowledge to use it. I installed a new driver for my video card yesterday and was shocked at how easy that shit was. I had to figure out how to do that on my own at LECT, and cause neither parent understood what upgrading the driver would even do. Meanwhile, I am reading news about kids don't know how to log in, send emails and the like, as all they ever use are smartphones and tablets. You came of age after the internet. I'm Gen X and came of age in the mid-90s. I first got on the internet in the 80s, but it didn't really become public until about 1995. Millennials definitely saw more of the rise of the internet and computer tech development, but more little kids are still being born in 1995. People who don't want kids, who are you going to leave all your money assets to after you die? The closest thing I have to sibling is my cousin, so I leave it to them, their kids. I want to be the random inheritance from an uncle halfway across the country. Whoever can decipher my treasure map, my nephews, nieces, or just donate it to charities. Lol, you think I'm going to have money and assets left when I die? Bury it with me, like the pharaohs of old. You know the ones I mean. 37F, unmarried, no kids, no siblings, and therefore no nieces or nephews. My best friend is a selfless woman who has taken in her 3 years old nephew at 31 and given up her life. If it's an unexpected death, it's all left to her so she can have the life she deserved. If I end up with something terminal where I have notice, a giant party trip for me and all my closest friends to a ridiculous location where I blow most of it on the most fun we've ever all had. So, how's the airline food? My wife asked. There's a fly in my soup. She replied angrily, well, I like it. And don't give me altitude. I'd say on a list of foods, airline food is usually pretty up there. Hopefully the joke landed well. Eating airline food is terminal. After that joke, it's a wonder she didn't run away. I hope there was no turbulence in your marriage. Make sure you're on a flight that has wings. You won't regret it. I'm still up in the air about it. It has its ups and downs. It tastes like the chef was just winging it. They don't serve chicken soup because chickens can't fly. Surely you didn't eat the fish, did you? The guy ordered wings. This joke is up there. This joke is up there where the stakes are high. Plain as earth or as her ass? Till that Beck rejected Weird Al's request to parody his hit 1990s song Loser because Beck felt he already wasn't being taken seriously as artist. Later though, Beck regretted this decision, saying, I think it would have been an amazing video. I'm actually really sad it didn't happen. The irony is that, Weird Al wanting to make a parody of your song was literally a golden sign that you were a serious artist. One of Al's polka medleys includes some of Loser. Most artists take a parody request from Weird Al as a sign that they did actually make it. I'm still pissed Billy Corgan said no to parody Bullet with butterfly wings. Despite my old age, I am still making minimum wage. In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. Possibly my favorite line of lyric of all time. The smart ones, like Michael Jackson, agreed and only asked to be credited as a co-writer. They made millions from his parodies. Till that Jim Morrison loved reading so much, that he once excused himself from class, telling his teacher he needed to get a brain tumor removed, and instead spent the rest of the day reading. When Jim was offered a graduation gift from his parents, he chose the complete works of Nietzsche. Morrison, hey, I need to go get a brain tumor removed. K. Feel better. When his family paid for a new headstone, Admiral Morrison penned his son's epitaph in Greek: Kappa Alpha Tau Omicron Nu Delta Alpha Iota Mu Omicron Nu Alpha Epsilon Alpha Upsilon Tau Omicron Upsilon, or true to his own spirit. That just encapsulates what my dad figured out finally, says Anne. Everyone didn't think he got it and that he really didn't understand, but he got Jim. Well, I didn't expect to get emotional reading about Jim Morrison, but here I'm wondering who cut the damn onions. Till that the Austrian wine industry collapsed in 1985 after it was discovered that several large wineries had been using diethylene glycol, a component of antifreeze, to make their wine sweeter. So that Simpsons episode where Bart goes to work in a winery for a student exchange program makes more sense now. Pretty sure this happened in France, and was only discovered by an American exchange student. Down the Rabbit Hole has a pretty good breakdown of the whole event. Because of how strictly regulated post-scandal winemaking was in Austria, modern Austrian wine has extremely strict standards in production, and producers have had to shift from the high-volume end of the market, cheap sweet shit for Germans, to a more premium product. I'm a New World chap myself, but those Austrians make a damned good product these days. I remember my dad calling washer fluid Austrian table wine. So that's the secret to those tasty Gruner Veltliners. Till that the English language doesn't have any official authority or academy. I refer you to the supreme overlord of the rules relating to the English language. Susie Dent in Dictionary Corner. Doesn't really matter. Even languages that do have them continue to evolve naturally, despite the best efforts of the official authorities to prevent it. Why would it? Do other languages have governing bodies? English outsourced it to Oxford Dictionary and Cambridge Dictionary. Other languages do? Why do you need an academy when all you need is to post something with a spelling mistake or bad grammar on an online forum before being corrected? As it should be. Language is a living, changing thing. No one dictates it. It just happens. Modern Hebrew and Esperanto were basically designed by committee without native speakers, and it one generation of native speaker to invent useful grammar, idioms, and slang. Disclaimer: I've heard this anecdotally, but it seems pretty believable. Till there are an estimated 2 billion parking spots in America, 5 billion if you count LA freeways. I watched one of those time-lapse videos of a stadium demolition and rebuild. You don't realize just how many parking spaces an American pro sports stadium has, until you see an aerial of the site. Compared to other countries, it's a night and day difference. Don't forget to visit the Tree Museum. It's educational. There's plenty of parking. And, for $1.50, what a bargain. But rarely is there one right where you want it when you need it to be there. 3 billion if you count people's front yards in central Ohio. One less than you think because of how my asshole neighbor parks. The Crusader and the Jew. After a while, the two beggars get up to leave. As they are walking away, one says to the other, "Next time, you be the Jew." Two old Jewish men are walking past a Catholic notice a sign in the window that reads, "Convert today and receive $100. One man says, "Hey, $100, should we do it?" His friend replies, "Are you crazy?" "Absolutely not." The first man tells him, "That's free money, I'm going in." An hour later the man walks back. Friend asks, "Well, did you at least get the money?" Old man sighs, "Money, that's all you people think about." "I don't get it. What's the new, Irving bit? What do you get if you ask two Jews opinions?" Isn't this the second time this has been posted today? Bad punchline, but priest is gonna tell the Goldberg brothers how to run a business? The emergency alert went off on every phone in the country, including those at funerals. It was a bad time to be on the road. I could actually observe every driver near me fiddling with their phone, all at once. It also went off in every hidden cell phone in jail. I couldn't find my phone and I was in the middle of looking for it when the national alert went off. I might have been one of the few people that it actually helped out. I was at the Toronto airport when an Amber Alert went off a couple years ago. Was unreal to hear that alarm come out of so many phones at once. RIP to those who were out at having a secret cell phone. What emergency alert? I turned into a zombie because of the vaccine and the alert, so I guess that's similar. Was in a big restaurant when it happened. Tornado touchdown. Nobody got up. I was trying to figure out if I should prepay now to get more beers, or wait until the power went out and say I didn't have enough cash. Tough decisions needed to be made. There's these three guys, and they're sitting around a table. I wish I had the brain capacity to remember jokes like these and tell my mates. "Who the fuck is you, Rankler 23? To buddy number, me and buddy number 2 here were driving along and we passed this farm, with a sheep with its head caught in the fence, and its back to the road. Quickly, I jump out, pull down my pants, and hump the sheep. I zip up, wipe the sweat off my head and turn to buddy number 2 and say, 'You wanna turn?' He replies, 'Sure,' and sticks his head in the fence." Who the fuck is Doug Peterson? A Philadelphia Eagle did this at training camp and inserted Doug Peterson the coach. "Hey, Toby say, who the hell is this Chandler? I don't get the punchline. Can someone explain please?" What do you call your partner? Batman, she hates it. Rectangle. I'm not giving any context whatsoever. She calls me, "What are you doing in my house?" or "Who are you?" God, I love her. Whatever stupid nickname I think of that will piss her off. Schmoopy, Moose pronounced moose. She's 6 feet tall and 200, I don't know if I want to fuck her, or fight her. I call her jerk off and she calls me shithead. God, I love that woman. Leaf, it's short for Liefje. Dutch version of sweetie. Scott, which is Dutch for treasure. Imaginary. Sugar tits. Honey, my husband has passed, but I called him babe most of the time. Sometimes it was, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Bub has always been babe. I can count on one hand the number of times I have used his given name. Love, my love. My wife just calls me by my name. I try not to let it get to me. What sexual fantasy will always stay a fantasy? When I was younger, 48M, a lot of partners used to scratch my back so hard it would draw blood. The shower the next day always stung in a very satisfying way. My wife won't do that no matter how elated she gets. She says she refuses to hurt me. However, these days I'm an old dad. My fantasy is for the kids 2-6 to go to bed early enough so that my wife and I aren't too tired. That would be awesome. I'm pretty sure I'm never going to have sex with Scarlett Johansson. What's something that smells way better than it tastes? Soap, vanilla extract, flowers, perfume, cleaning supplies, candles, scented markers, hand soap, lotion, plain cocoa powder, fabric softener, dryer sheets, grass, sawdust. My parents called poison control a lot when I was a kid. My cooking apparently. Obligatory answer no's. This is great. I've learned not to drink vanilla extract and gasoline, or bleach. Very informative. Petrol. Pretty much all herbal teas. Play-Doh. Coffee. Baker's chocolate. Most people's grilling. Leather. Vanilla extract. Baker's chocolate. For all you coffee addicts out there. It just tastes like dirt to me. Doesn't matter if it's Folgers, or some fancy stuff from Starbucks, or some special bean from your local coffee boutique shop. It all tastes the same. To that smell is heavenly. What's the hottest thing a guy can say in bed? Honestly, loud, shameless moaning. I love it when men just lose themselves and not care about holding back vocally. They don't even need to say words, I just want them to moan, like a WH-re. Sorry, I don't really know how else to describe it. LMFAU, I don't know how else to say this. But it's really hot when my husband says I'm gonna fuck the shit out of you and then asks to cuddle immediately after we're done. Embarrassed smiley face. The moment he does his first thrust and when he's about to come fuck. I'd like to pay for another hour. Leave the Crocs on. Can I come in you? Yes, yes you can. Not really what he said but a sound he made. I heard him whimper once and I found out something new about myself. Lol. Fire. Why do archaeologists get the most girls? I dig it. This joke has good formation, and many layers. I thought it was because girls just love digging up the past. I assume they can go really deep. There's a boning joke in here somewhere. BC, they know how to explore caves and holes. Smiley face. Are you sure it's not because of Indiana Jones? I mean, I bet he's had more than 1 or 2 crushes on him before. Why do women make the best? They're always digging up the past. Geology enters the chat. Ross, they know where you can be buried and not discovered for thousands of years. You know because of the implications. Well, they know about rocks obviously. Rolling eyes face. Plus intellect is attractive. They're diamonds in the rough. Latino archaeologists invented cabron dating. I'm an archaeologist. My life's in ruins. You are given $500K to relive the worst year of your life. Do you accept? Why or why not? Yes, cause I got through it. And I could really use that money now. In it right now. Let's see the cash. Yes. It wasn't that bad. I'm just a dramatic bitch. It means having my boyfriend drop into my arms again when he passed away. Respectfully no. No thanks. No. Because I struggled with gambling addiction and would end up losing more than $500K. Depends on if I'm able to act differently or do I myself also have to do the same things. I believe that would give me the budget to make me the popular girl I was falling all over myself to become. Hard pass. Well, I actually don't remember the majority of it. I just remember little bits of me being abused by my dad. Maybe it's better I don't relive what I've mentally blocked out. Fuck no. My mom dying. Fuck that.